Welcome to Redshift Data Processing and Transformation section overview. In this section, we'll start with the data unload in Redshift. It's a way to export your data from Redshift to an S3 location, and it's used for the different purpose. It could be used for the archiving your data. It could be used to use your data for the downstream applications. It could be used for data to have it available in your data lake, so you can create the external table or the spectrum on top of your data. We will be creating spectrum table later in this course. So let's go and take a look at the unload syntax. So the way we do the copy, the unload syntax start with the unload on start. So we do the unload command. Then we write the SQL statement. The SQL statement has the table from where you want to do the unload. Then the next is it's a S3 location where you want to unload the data. The third thing is the authorization, the same way we do for the copy command, where we need to make sure the IAM role which is doing the unload has access to your table and it's associated with your Redshift serverless or the provision cluster, and also it does have a write or the put permission to the S3 location. And there are different options what we use while doing the unload. Now let's go take a look at the options. So while unloading the data to S3, you can determine the format of your data. You can write your data as a Parquet format, Avro, or CSV format, whatever format you want your downstream application to use the data or the use cases. If it's a very big data set, you can use the partition by where you can partition your data. You can also write the manifest file while you unload the data. So when we are doing the copy, we use the manifest file which was created. So now if the data is coming from some other applications, you can unload to S3 using the manifest file, and you can use the copy command to load that data into your own Redshift cluster. You can also determine the header, whether you want to header with the file or not, any delimiter you want to use. So as an example, if it's a CSV, we can use the comma separated or the comma as a delimiter. We can determine whether we want to overwrite the data. As an example, if it's a truncate and load, where you want to reload the data every day, where you can do the truncate and load, you can overwrite the existing file, and when you use the copy command to load the data back to the Redshift, you can use the truncate and load over there. You can determine the file size. You can use the parallelism over here. So remember, Redshift is a massively parallel processing cluster. So by default, the parallelism on. So what it does, if you have 16 node cluster with the 4 slices, it will end up writing the 64 different files because it writes the file per slice. You can determine on which region you want to write your data, where your S3 bucket is. Fixed with the file encrypted. So if you're writing the data to S3 and if you want to encrypt your data, you can provide the KMS key. Data can also be compressed in whatever compression type you want to use. It can be compressed to bzip2 or gzip depending on your requirement. Next we'll be do ELT in Redshift. So the ELT is for the extract, load and transform, where we'll extracting the data from somewhere. So it comes from the one source. We load it to the S3 locations. It could be in your Redshift cluster, and then we transform the data and we use it. So when we do the ELT, we'll be performing the different operations, such as we'll be creating the stored procedures. It's a PostgreSQL anyway, so in Redshift you can create the stored procedure the way we are creating with the SQL, and you can use it. We'll be using the merge command, where we'll be loading the data into the intermediate stage tables, and we'll be using those tables to finally load the data into final Redshift table, and we'll be creating the materialized view and see how the materialized views are being used in Redshift. At the end, we'll have the section recap, where we'll be doing some quiz based on what we learned in this data processing and transformation section. We'll learn about some quiz. This quiz will be related to the interview question or any certification question, and we'll get the answers to this question. So let's go and learn more about the data processing and transformations in Redshift. Thank you very much for watching this video.